you can see that there is a very beautiful flame top on this body, and it kind of changes depending on the angle that you see it at. And it's just extremely beautiful. It's about 8.7 pounds ish. So it doesn't weigh like a brick, but it's not light either. It has some good heft to it. And the back of the neck and the body are also mahogany and very beautiful. And the neck is a 50s neck, so it is a little bit thicker than your 60s slim taper profile. But once again, it's very comfortable, and it really just depends on your personal preference, whether you like a thicker neck or a thinner neck. But everything about the guitar, it just feels like a Gibson. When you pick up an Epiphone, for instance, you can tell that there's a different feeling to it. And it's not good or bad. It's just, once again, a personal preference. But if you have to have that Gibson feel, then you got to have a Gibson. Looking at the Eastman body shape, you can see that we have a little extra curve right here on the horn and maybe a slightly bigger bout back here on the other end. But overall, it's still very comfortable. It sits nice in your lap and it doesn't, fall back and forth. So that's really good. The neck profile on this SB59V is a very similar thickness to the Gibson. You can see that the mahogany is a little darker brown instead of being more of a reddish tint like on the back of the Les Paul. And the V in the name stands for varnish. So it is very roughed and very aged and just feels great in the hands. Even the fretboard feels really good. All right, so now comparing both guitars, you can see that the Eastman has a slightly different body shape than the Gibson Les Paul. A little bit more rounded on the top horn. Now I feel like this area right here is also slightly bigger. I specifically chose this top on the Eastman out of all the ones I saw on Reverb, because I like the really tight curl in the maple, but I didn't want it to be too pronounced. Obviously on the Gibson Les Paul, this one is very curly and also changes depending on the angle that you look at it. So both are extremely beautiful, but obviously the Eastman is a little more subdued, even though you can definitely see the curl going on in that top. So the Les Paul has a looser grain and the Eastman has more of a tighter grain. But that's just purely looks and aesthetic. It has nothing to do with the playability or the overall sound. Also, let's look at the headstock. Slightly different headstock shape. We have the same break angle of the strings going through the nut. And same kind of tuners, even though the Eastman is slightly more aged than the Les Paul. Looking at the back once again, the Les Paul is more of a red tint. And the Eastman is more of a brown. And also it's more aged looking. But both of them are beautiful. They actually feel very similar in weight. I think the Les Paul is just a little heavier than the Eastman. And obviously the Eastman does not have a pick guard or a little ring around the pickup selector switch. So it's just a slight aesthetic thing, not a big deal. So the question is, which one would you choose? Nowadays you can find the Eastman a little bit cheaper than a Les Paul, especially if you're looking at new prices. I still think the Eastmans don't hold their value as much. So if I were to try to resell the Eastman, I paid around $2,000 for it, and I could probably sell it for, $1,400–1,500. Possibly. This is the antique varnish finish, so it should be more expensive than the regular SB59, but obviously you have to let the market decide that. I bought this Les Paul for around $2,000, and I'm actually selling it for around $1,800 just because I want to move it. But I could probably get $2,000 for it if I held on a little bit longer. So you can find these Les Pauls for a good deal if you're willing to wait it out and just see which one you like the best. But since I am a Eastman fan and I have a few other Eastmans, I'm going to keep the Eastman and sell the Les Paul. Even though it is beautiful and I really like it, I do have my Reverend and Kiesel guitars as well that I play a lot more. So, sorry Les Paul, I'm going to sell you off, but you are gorgeous. So, thanks guys. Leave a comment down below. Let me know which one you like the best. And in the meantime, I'm Dr. Mcfarland. I'll see you in the next video. Keep rocking.